Okay. It's 7:30. Welcome to the Town of Austin Planning Board meeting for July 1st, 2020. And let's go around the Zoom and introduce ourselves. Sandy?
Sandy and Nellie, secretary.
Valerie?
Valerie Menastra, town planner.
Gareth?
Gareth Huffam, planning board member.
Jim?
Jim Bacinas, planning board member.
Carolyn? Carolyn, you're muted.
Okay. Carolyn is planning board member.
Thanks, Carolyn. Dan?
Dan Ciarcia, consulting engineer of the planning board.
Donna?
Donna Sharrett, planning board member.
Kathy?
Kathy Zelantis, planning board attorney.
And I'm Tim Chin, chair. The first item on the agenda is 125th Morningside Drive, new single-family residence, architectural review, continuing the public hearing. The applicant here?
Yes, sir, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I did. Okay, what do we have?
Okay, after the last meeting we have, in the public hearing, couple suggestions from the board was addressed from us. This was creating like a screen in where is the location of the septic field, and also to make like an additional window in the second floor from the elevation is right direct from the driveway. I presume you guys received the drawings we addressed to you guys. Let me see if I can share. The first item is the can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Speaking for myself.
Yes, it's visible.
I can see it.
We propose, if you see when they say load number 3, they have some species we're putting around the property line and also to around the street, for Macadam Road. We have that thing over there. We propose some species over there, to provide the screen for the neighbor next to, the property, according, with the suggestion from the board. All the species are, referencing to the numbers and letters they have there, and the same kind of species we have there. We take care of the situation because remember, this is the septic field. It will be a lot of water involved in that area. We try to put, something they can come out and don't spray the roots close to the area. Now we go back to the elevation. We we have the second item we discuss from the suggestion from the board was, one of the elevations we can try to work it out with the windows in the master bedroom. We come out with some solution. We spoke with the modular company. They provide like a structural header. We can have something there in between, because if you see, it's almost in the center of the ridge. I mean, remember, this is a modular house. They have like 2 boxes together. I mean, the main structure is pretty much in the middle of the building. That means we need to provide some special header to support the structure of that one. That was the comment we have for the last time we are in the meeting, and I presume that one is the things we address accordingly with the suggestion from the board.
Okay, thanks. Are there any comments from the staff at this time? Dan, do you have anything further?
No, all the previous comments in my earlier memorandums have been addressed, so we're good with this plan.
Okay, thank you. Valerie, are there any more comments?
No, I think I just made note in the latest memo that the applicant addressed the board's concerns with the additional plantings, and they were all native plantings that he identified, and also addressed the additional concerns with the additional window.
Thanks. Kathy, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing.
Okay. Do any of the board members have anything to add or questions at this time?
I have one question. David, does it help you at all if, with that structural header, does it help you at all if you leave the post in for the structural ridge and put the windows on either side?
The thing is this, the window we provide there is pretty much the standard window the company use. It's like 3 feet 2 inches wide.
Okay. Yep.
And if you see, let me check in the floor plan. I think it's this one. You know, we have shorter space in between. I mean, we try to work it out around, you know, like the furniture.
I'm not trying to complicate it. If you can leave it if you want it, but I was just going to suggest if you want to leave the column in underneath the structural ridge,
You know,
and have the two windows on either side of the column, you'd kind of have the two windows kind of mulled together, centered on the ridge.
yeah, the thing is that the company can provide like a structural ridge, you know, a structural header for that one. And they say they don't have a problem with that. We thought can be, but they can figure it out. And they say they don't have.
I was just trying to offer a suggestion to allow you to keep the column as is. That's all.
Okay. But so far, you know, the elevation looks like a little bit better. And yes, the window will be a nice addition, you know, for the elevation. You was right.
Every once in a while.
Okay, good for you.
Any other questions, Jim?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Donna, any questions or comments?
I definitely have a few. I don't think that looks very I put myself in the position, like if I was a real estate agent was taking me to this house to look at it, to buy this house, I would look at that and the way that those windows are placed on that second floor and just think that just looks really out of place. Like I just think it just looks so odd. I don't know of any other house that looks like that, where the windows are so off center on the one floor. So I don't know. I mean, it would look better if they were even. I mean, I don't understand why I'm not an architect, so everyone please excuse me, but why the other side that has the symmetric windows, why it can't just be, the floor plan can't be reversed? I mean, it seems like if you were putting a modular home and on this left, that we're looking on the left side, you had this amazing ocean view, like you would want the two windows looking there, you know, it's like, it seems like with modular, I don't know about modulars, but it seems like you would be able to.
Can I respond to the question?
Yeah, yes, I appreciate you.
Okay, if you see the room, you know, in
Right.
the second floor, you have the windows in the front, okay?
Right,
Because, you know, the front here in this case is where is the porch coming,
right,
okay?
right,
You have the windows. The room size for the master bedroom is big, okay?
right.
If we align the windows, you know, to make the things like, you call it more symmetrical,
Right.
the window will be like almost in the walk-in closet.
No, I'm saying, why can't you put those two, why can't you just reverse the floor plan and put those, so the other side of the house, where it has 2 bedrooms, when you look at that side of the house, it looks like a normal house. And that's the side that faces the road. Like,
You mean
just saying,
make a mirror of the house and put it like in the other direction, you mean?
right, that top floor, just, yeah, mirror it, reverse it.
You know,
Is that impossible?
I don't know, to be honest with you, you know, that changed many things, you know. We can reverse the elevation, but I don't know why, you know, I presume they present this one before and that was the option. Because we can make a mirror, but the problem is if you make like that, you know, in this case, the stairs, you see the stairways are located?
Yes, Yes,
If you make a mirror, you need to change the mirror in the first floor. That means
Right.
you change the entire distribution of the first floor because you switch the things around.
right. So
Because
it
the approach of the garage is in the left.
right.
Okay, and let me go to the,
Hey, David,
yes, sir.
I don't know who suggested it before, but if you center those 2 second floor windows, then everything's nice and symmetrical.
Yes, but
Yes.
if you
Yeah,
see
so like
the,
what Jim
but
was
if you see
saying,
the-
right.
If you see the window here, you have in the right size, go directly to the walk-in closet.
But
You see what it is?
But Jim, are you suggesting like the window that's all the way over to the side, if that was closer, if they were closer together?
I was just thinking if he takes the 2 windows and molds them together, centered on the ridge,
Right.
then
Muy bien. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, no,
That
but the
would look
thing is,
normal.
if you put in like that, you don't have a space to put in the front, like I said before. Here you can have the bed in between. You follow me? But if you put them together, the bed will be against to the window. You follow me or no?
I was assuming that the bed would go on the wall by the entry door.
You need to think about where, all the options, because usually you're not putting all, you can put the furniture and and all the things there, in different positions. It's not like only one position. That is the way the architect think, it's like, I can put in the bed here, but what happens if the owner want to put in the bed in the other side? And he want to put in the bed there and the TV in the other side or a furniture in that point.
Can you show the picture of the way it looks from the outside again?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
This one.
But what if you just put a bigger window, one bigger window? I mean, and Jim, you can definitely enlighten me on if that's a good or bad thing that I'm asking for. But like to have that in the center.
Okay, hold on. Go back to the plan.
It just doesn't look right now.
Okay, you see what is?
You're talking about one.
You see my mouse, no?
Yes. I see it.
Okay, you see these 2 lines together, okay?
Right. Okay. That's a support.
That is the center of the house. Right. I mean, that's the window landing in the center of the house.
But you said you were putting a big supporting beam in, right?
Yes. But if I put 2 windows together, you follow me? The windows don't align it up. The windows are 3 feet 2 inches. It's the standard size these people use. We can make the windows smaller, but the thing is, you see what is the walk-in closet wall. If I put in there, I need to make a narrow windows to put those windows together to make the windows in the center. You follow me what I'm saying?
I still think that's the right solution, but.
So you're saying that the one window even one window wouldn't be centered. That's what you're saying?
Excuse me?
Even if you had just one larger window, you couldn't, the way that closet is, you wouldn't be able to center
Yeah,
that.
no, because you have the wall of the closet. If I put the window, to make 2 windows or a big window, I need to be close to the window, to the wall up there. I can make 1 window in the center or a big window, but I don't know what is the difference they can make it.
You couldn't get 2 narrower windows and then let the column for the ridge run between them?
The small window we can run there is 2.8.
Okay.
2.8 to 6.
All right.
2 of them, right? With the center spacing.
Problem solved.
But the thing is, you want 2 windows together with a post in between?
Why not? It'd be centered on the ridge. Everything would be symmetrical. All of Donna's concerns go away.
It looks like you'd have to move the wall for the closet a little further.
No, the window adjacent to the closet door would probably be a few inches off that corner, enough to install the trim
hold
properly.
On. We did that experiment.
But wait. But then looking at the room from the inside, I mean, you got 2 windows in the front, and if you start putting a large window on one wall. I don't know how the aesthetics are going to be from the inside.
It would be the same as the other
Check-
side of the
check-
house,
check
except the
this.
two windows would be together.
Okay, this is the thing. You see this is
So
elevation?
David, you're showing the illustration that you're showing here. That window is not right in the center, like it is
No.
over. So it looks like there is room.
Hold on. The thing you see right now is
Mhm.
the previous option we make. You see what is the window now? This one here. This
Yes.
window is off from
Right,
the center. I
right,
mean, you have the post in this, pretty much going down,
right.
okay? And we reduce the size of the windows to align it up, one window to the other one there in the first floor, basically. But this window is narrow.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes.
What's wrong with a window in the walk-in closet?
I think the same thing.
No. I don't think it's a good idea. First of all,
I suggested
Yeah, it
that
would look-
window
it would
in the
look great
walk-in
from the
closet is
outside.
fine.
What's that?
A window in the walk-in closet is fine. I suggested that 3 weeks ago.
And if you wanted to have two windows in the master bedroom, you could still have this one in the center and you'd have three windows. So you'd be adding two new windows, a little extra cost, but it would look good from the outside because you'd have three windows and they'd be symmetric.
Well, I
mean,
think
this one that you show right now is off center a little bit, but you could make it perfectly centered and then it would look good with three.
I think they would prefer like to have less windows probably.
Yeah,
but
we don't need the third window. We're just looking
Yeah.
for a little symmetry, that's all.
if they could put it in the walk-in closet, that would be great.
like
Yeah,
this
well,
option we have here,
Then you have a lot of daylight.
In fact, you could put it right behind the door in the walk-in closet.
Putting it in
then
the
you're not
walk-in
losing-
closet is fine.
we have an option when we have the walk-in closet window. Not this one. We make an option when we have the windows in the walk-in closet before. I think I presented to you guys before this.
I don't remember.
Actually,
No.
I don't recall it being presented. You
No.
basically told us that they didn't want it in the walk-in closet. Now, Neil, are you speaking for the applicant at this point?
Hello, I'm one of the applicants. I want it in the walk-in closet.
Excellent.
Okay, David, what's going on here?
Mr. Chin, I don't know. Okay, looks like we have not communicated correctly.
So why don't we assume that we'll leave some flexibility where you can locate the two windows on the second floor, symmetrical on the ridge, and we can move forward.
Okay, I think we can do that one, but it's possible we can get in the approval with the condition of the window.
I didn't hear that. Say it again, David. I'm sorry.
Can we have the approval today with the condition of the window? I can present the window where it's located and you can review it and see, everything is correct. We can get in the approval.
Let's go through the rest of the items first before we make that decision. But it sounds like we could possibly do that as long as there's nothing else is really a problem here.
Okay, sounds good.
So I do have a question on your landscaping, just because I didn't see this. Did you send it to us, that plan with the new plants?
Yes, we send it the Friday after that we have the meeting and say, for the
Okay,
screen.
I'm sorry, it's a little hard working all digitally for me, so I apologize on that. The one that shows where you have the plants across the driveway.
Yes, this one.
So can you just explain, just because I don't have this in front of me, what the trees are?
Okay, if you see
So
the,
if you, yeah,
you
so,
have, if you
okay. So viburnum, the VD is the viburnum.
yes, everything over there, they have, a name. It's AA,
Right. Did you
BD.
present that viburnum before? Is it, or this is an additional plant?
I think I can help with that, Donna. The additional plants that are proposed include 3 shade bushes, 5 spice bushes, and 4 arrowwoods.
Okay, so I just have to say the arrowwoods, I had some on my property. They're so extraordinarily beautiful. There's a viburnum beetle that will take it out within 2 years. So that's I would highly recommend that you don't have that one. I live right down the street, so those bugs are just waiting for that plant. My neighbor had to take theirs out too. It was there's all these things happening that are sad with bugs and stuff, but that it also is not a very big plant, so I don't think it would meet the objective that the neighbor was asking for.
But remember, he is lower and we are higher.
Well, I would just say for your, it's like throwing money away buying that plant. Unfortunately, it's a beautiful, beautiful plant, but it's not going to succeed here.
Okay, we can, looking for.
Spice bush is great. They're going to need a lot of water. So you have, so what's the, LB is spice bush, right? I can't really see. Okay, there you go. LB.
You see it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is that M? What is that for?
M?
What is the little round circle? I can't really make out what these plants are.
It's AA. I think it's AA.
AA, there you go. I just can't make it out. I need a bigger screen. And what would that be? Amelanchier. Okay. So can you pull it down again? So that's not really where he is anyway, so it's not going to matter with the screening, right? Like what you're saying? So
yes.
what ones are the evergreens? They're I guess the darker circles?
Yes, that is the thing we have there. This is the this is the property line we provide the screening for the neighbor here.
Okay, and what are those? Is it the darker circles? Like what?
Is LB.
Oh, so you don't have any evergreens over there?
I presume, I don't think, because the thing is that we try to avoid, for the water thing, maybe it's,
right.
And like I say, this is higher. If you see the contours, basically right. From this point to that point, we have right. 4 feet. That means from this point to the point, to the house he has, maybe we have at least 6 or 8 feet difference.
Right. Okay. So I guess what I'm questioning is just based on what the most impacted resident said was that he was looking for screening, and these are excellent plants, I must say, but they aren't going to provide him much screening. So
like I say, we have 2 factors involved here. No,
I definitely understand the water issue.
The water issue, and also we have the height, because we are in a high point.
Right.
We don't need it like a 10 feet high tree, because no matter what, with the lower tree will be, or lower bush, it can, avoid the vision of that one. Like I say, between this point and the house he's located, we have at least 6 or 8 feet difference. That means it's a lot. It's like almost a floor. And his house is only 1 floor. He don't have right. 2 floors.
Right. Okay. So can you pull it back up so I can see closer to the driveway? So, I mean, I guess my question is, you went to this effort to add extra screening, but it's not really going to screen. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Does anybody else have any comments on that? I mean, these are low, very low bushes. The spice bush is maybe 8 feet. Clethra is like 6. Clethra is 6.
They're not the tallest things, but they're also elevated.
Okay, so if everybody else is okay, these are fabulous fabulous plants, you know.
I mean,
Well-
we're not setting a standard where we're going to completely hide all the homes from each other. So I appreciate the fact that they've installed this additional, the additional plantings and addressing the neighbor's concern.
Yeah,
Okay.
what I was going to say before is that I like the line, around the corner there for the screening, and that was a major improvement, but that it would be dependent on whether or not the choice was, the choice of the plants would do the job of screening. And so you're answering that, Donna. And yeah, I didn't quite understand why evergreens were not possible. Was it too much water?
The root system.
Remember, this is the sective field.
Right. Are all evergreens, do all evergreens have more invasive root structures than these plants that are being proposed?
I think they're bigger plants, so bigger plants have bigger roots. I think that's, you know, I'm not an expert with septic, but I definitely know you don't want the bigger, you know, plants that are going to get 70 feet. They're going to have, you know, pretty massive roots.
I mean, I have a couple of cypress trees that are probably 30 feet tall, you know, and their root systems are only like 5 feet wide. And I know that because they're in a raised bed, and they're healthy.
That contained them, Gareth, probably.
So is there a way to contain the root system so that it grows laterally? You know, because you wouldn't mind the roots growing along the line as far out as they need to, as long as they didn't grow in toward the septic field, right?
Yeah, the thing is sometimes plants' roots seek the septic field because it's a good source of water for them.
Right.
So
So they get around anything that you might put in place to bar the root structure.
I would think so. I mean,
Okay.
I would think so. So I don't know. It's an excellent, if you could, I would definitely just recommend substituting out the viburnum. Even with, there's other viburnums that aren't as susceptible. You know, you could go with some other species, but there is information on the internet about that, about the.
We look at these species in the Westchester website.
I know. You know, the problem with every printed guide is as soon as it's printed, it's outdated. Unfortunately.
So, but you know, we're working with the information we get it.
It's horrible. I sympathize with you, really. I do. It's
okay.
We live in a crazy world, that's for sure. I mean, the stink bug came here in 2008. You know, it's like crazy. It's like, you know, it's just, you know.
So, could I make another suggestion? So if you're worried about the roots getting too far toward the septic system, you could put the trees basically, you know, just a couple inches in from the line, so that the trees would essentially, you know, they would send their root system, you know, into the other guy's property, and you know, as long as he would be okay with that.
I don't like the sound of that.
I don't know.
No. I don't think it's a good idea.
I mean, he might prefer that and getting good screening than not getting screening. Because this is on, you know, this is on the far side of his property. Why?
Yeah, but he might not be the person in that house forever, right?
Right. I think maybe we just need. I mean, I think it might be best to, you know, clearly we should probably pick plantings that are going to remain on you know, the new owner's property as opposed to the neighboring property.
Okay. Let me suggest that there be at least one tall evergreen, and perhaps it could be this double A, take the place of this double A right in the corner, because that's the farthest away from anything of concern.
But I don't think that screens his house.
What's that?
I don't think that would provide any screening for him, would it?
It's almost in direct line of sight, it seems to me.
Oh.
Can I add something to the discussion?
Of course.
Okay, you see these dotted lines. You see these dotted lines in the plan.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. That's for future extension.
Exactly. The thing is, if they extend the sective field, you see where is the lines go. Okay. That means we try to avoid, to be the closest possible to that lines, because in the, I don't know, far future, we can say 10 years from now, they extended things, and what happened if they have those trees there and all that roots destroy that thing? It's a lot of money involved, and also it's a lot of work. We need to think a little bit in the future, maybe we can switch the species which you suggest, for something better, but that is the limit we can go there, because close to that lines create problems. We try to avoid. Go ahead.
If that same neighbor were on today, I don't know if he is, we could ask him whether he would approve of the applicant paying him to plant a line of screening on his side. And that would solve the whole problem.
Right. I don't know if the
same
applicant,
amount.
I don't believe I don't believe that neighbor is on tonight.
Okay.
And frankly, if we're gonna go down that road, I mean, the applicant could always plant additional items on his side of the property line as well. I'm comfortable with what David's proposing.
Yeah, I think if it is, I'm just not familiar with the height, but if Jim lives closer to this than me, so probably he has a better feel for it. If you feel that would be adequate, then I'm fine too.
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking for a complete separation, visual separation between these homes.
Right.
We were looking for a little bit of screening that I think the applicant has provided.
Okay.
So what about this rhododendron? Is that still, I don't see that listed along this line, because rhodies can get pretty big and they're evergreen. Those would be beautiful along there.
But they're a shade plant for the most part.
Okay. So you're saying they would not thrive there?
I just am not familiar with the property. I'm not sure if it's like blasting sun there or not. So I don't know if anyone's looked into that. That's all. I have no idea. Maybe it would work, but.
Okay, I'm just trying to get the guy screening.
Right.
I'm not convinced that this is going to accomplish it.
Right,
But
right.
Jim, if you and Donna, if you're comfortable with it,
Well, I'm going to defer to Jim, because I would also want, just looking at the plan, I would think it would need more, more screening up at that corner, but I'm gonna defer to Jim on this.
I think the number of plants that he's showing is adequate. I would just want to make sure that what he's proposing are going to thrive. That's all.
Yeah.
And we can have that as a condition, one of the conditions in the resolution, or the draft resolution that you received.
Yeah.
Does have
We can do that.
on there.
Okay, Calvin, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Jesus? I saw Jesus somewhere.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, no other questions or comments from the rest of the board then at this time?
No.
Okay, are there any members of the public interested in this matter? Present. Don't see anything. Sandy, did you notice anybody?
No, I don't think anyone here is here on that public hearing.
Okay. All right. What does the board think about us adopting the resolution with these two conditions built into it? The fact of the making sure the plants would thrive, and also, of course, the windows being adjusted as well.
I concur.
So would we just be able to, before it goes, like the final site plan is signed, could we just see what the windows look like?
Yes, no, I can send the drawings for Friday.
Okay, then that's, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just basically have it drafted for the next session, next public session, so that once it's cleared, we can just sign it if it's needed, if it's possible.
That sounds good.
Valerie, is that all right?
Yes.
So as long as those two windows on the second floor are symmetrical on the ridge, because basically everything is symmetrical on that side. So let's just continue that.
Okay. Before we go into this road again, and Mr. Natoli show up here. Okay, we want to go back to this. Okay, to be clear,
Yes.
everyone is in the same page. You want the window, this one in this side, and the window in the walk-in closet. That means in the elevation looks like.
Hey, David.
Yes.
There's a few different ways to approach this, but for me, as long as the two windows are symmetrical on the ridge, I'm comfortable with what whatever you propose.
No problem. I only want to touch bases with everyone so we are talking in the same page.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a symmetrical roof line. The windows are symmetrical to the ridge. The garage doors are symmetrical to the ridge.
Yeah.
And as long as the second floor windows are symmetrical as well, I think it's going to look nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, you are right. Okay. You know, it's different point of view, but it's okay. I respect that.
They don't have to be like right over the other windows. You have options here. You can put one door behind the closet door and that way you're not taking away any storage space in the walk-in closet, or you can put them together, centered on the ridge. Okay. Whatever you decide to do, as long as it's symmetrical.
No problem. Okay, we do that. And Friday, I send the drawings to you guys and you can review it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
No problem.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. So we basically, Valerie, do we need a resolution to adjourn it to the next meeting?
Yes. We should adjourn it right to the 15th.
Okay. Can I have a motion to that effect?
Second.
Any second? Great. Any objections?
No.
Okay, just going through this. Donna, do you accept?
Yes, I accept.
Okay, Garrett?
I accept it.
Okay, Jesus, you don't have any comments at this time?
No, I don't.
Okay, Carolyn, you're okay with it, right?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Great, okay. So for that matter, thank you very much, applicants.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the 39 Old Albany Post Road, new duplex architectural review, continuing the public hearing. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Bruce, nice to see you.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Okay, how we're doing here?
Okay, unfortunately, my architect got the plan in to me 4 o'clock yesterday, so I did forward it, and I believe Sandy forwarded it to everyone. As we left off, he just wanted a formal drawing showing the garden areas as I sketched it last week, which he drew on I asked him to draw a separate plan because the site plan was getting so overwhelmed with things. So he did draw a separate plan showing the front gardens and sidewalk and picked locations for some of the plants, gave some color in illustrations of, I selected 10 different plants. He picked 5 of them and placed them. And you should have a copy of that illustration.
Okay, Valerie, any comments at this time?
The only comments that I have relate to the fact that if once the board finalizes the plans, the site plans, dealing with the architectural renderings as well as the plantings, that plans A8, A9, A10, and S1 need to be updated to reflect the final approved plans.
Okay.
And I can send the applicant a letter, an email to that effect as well.
Yes, I received it. Yes.
Okay, Dan, any additional comments at this time?
No, the applicant responded to all my prior comments, so I'm satisfied with the plans as they stand right now.
Okay, Kathy, do you have any comments at this time or questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? Donna?
Yeah. So I'm a little bit I'm not sure how to go on this. So none of the plants are native, but if it's you know, I don't know what the rest of the board feels. It's if they feel that this is an architectural review board, not a site plan review. So if they feel that this is, you know, keeping with the neighborhood, and that's the way they want to go, then I'll follow suit. I do think it's a shame because we, you know, it'd be great for the town to go forward and, you know, in plantings that responded to, you know, an ecological responsibility. I do have one comment though, for Mr. Fiorardi, that the one plant that they put on there, it's Festival Burgundy Cordyline. I know that plant. It is a very pretty plant. You know, it's not native, but it also is. It's not hardy to the area. So I just wanted you to be aware that it's hardy to, like, it'll survive winter from North Carolina down to Florida. So if you put that in, it's like an annual, and that's a lot of people do put it in for an annual. But just wanted, because I think it's kind of expensive. So I just wanted you to know that it's probably not going to show up next, you know, this following spring after you plant it. And then I just, you know, I'd like to hear the opinions of the other planning board members. I think you did a really great job on the house. I think it looks, you made such great changes on that, and I think that's going to be really, really nice. But I do have a problem with the plantings.
All right, well, before we plant, I did have some alternatives in there, so we can double check that before we put them in, because certainly we don't want to lose any plants. And
well, I think they're hardy plants. They're not, you know, like, none of them are native. And I don't know that they're necessarily that we should require that everybody puts, you know, 100% native in, because nobody else does that. So, but it would be nice to have some things that are on that, you know, on the list of recommendations. But again, I would like to hear what the other planning board members say about that.
Well, one would think that the owner would prefer having plants which are closer and more capable of surviving the climate that's up here. So if they're native, it probably would be an advantage.
Yeah, most of those plants he picked would survive here, except for that one. They are, you know, some of these plants from other countries are, they're very hardy, and they would. I'm not saying they wouldn't survive. I'm saying the one choice wouldn't survive. So
okay, are any of them invasive?
No. As a matter of fact, the grass is it's a sterile variety, so you don't have any worries there. So that one's actually no problem at all. So.
Okay. Any other comments at this time, Donna?
I think that that was it. I just on the resolution. If we got to a resolution, I just had comments about that. But yeah, that would be it for me.
Okay, we'll circle back on that. Garrett, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Jesus?
No, I'm fine.
Jim?
I'm fine as well.
Great. Okay. So Bruce, if you could just take a quick look at seeing whether those plans could possibly be changed. I mean, obviously we're not pressing on the issue at this point, but you might just want to take another look at it just to see whether it could be adapted. But otherwise, it looks like we're sort of ready to go on this. Correct, Valerie?
Yes, and I think, again, we'll just, similar to the previous applicant, I think it'd be best if he updates those plans, so that way when we adopt the resolution at the following meeting, we'll have the most updated plans that reflect what the board's decision is.
Right. Okay. Bruce, do you have any other questions or responses at this time?
No. As far as the updated plan, you're just talking about a complete set turned into the building department.
So you have, you know, the elevation plans and the floor plans in there reflect the original proposal for the architecture and not what has been revised and provided to the board on the color renderings. And the planting plans need to be updated for the site plans. Also reflective of what has been, you know, evolved over the last few meetings.
Okay, so just, I mean, I believe he changed them all, so you just want a complete set that's current with what we discussed.
He might have changed them. We haven't received the newer updated versions yet.
Okay.
Okay, and Bruce, this is not directed specifically towards you, but it is an issue that keeps popping up. I believe the board is getting kind of tired of having applicants submit their stuff at the last minute. I mean, the applicants obviously have time beforehand to make their submissions, and to require our staff to react to submissions on the last 2 days before the actual public hearing is just not acceptable. Okay, now this is not, I understand that, we're going forward on this, but I think we would probably wish Sandy to inform going forward that applicants have to be a little bit more diligent in terms of giving our staff time to respond to this and give the board proper amount of time to be able to consider the submission thoroughly, rather than have us sort of do it on the fly. Okay, again, this is not, it's not, I'm not trying to single you out, Bruce. I'm just pointing out that this is a recurring issue, and we're going to have to make a stop to it, because especially with these Zoom meetings, it makes it very difficult for us to do things on a timely basis.
I understand, but on the same token, the following day after the meeting, I email it to my architect. He doesn't stand by just for me. And I received this 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. I emailed him almost every day. I texted him, I called him. I did the best I could. And if he couldn't make it tonight, then we'll have to wait 2 more weeks. I'm trying my best, and I certainly put a ton of time and effort into it. And I appreciate what you're saying, and I understand, but I received it 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And I immediately emailed it out, and I stood on him every day, but he's changed it. I've spent hours and hours and hours in the last couple of months. So, and I appreciate it. I understand. I'm in business too, and, it's very difficult.
Again, it's not particularly directed towards you. I'm just making a public statement that in the future, applicants who submit their materials too late may be forced to wait for the next hearing before we could actually consider their materials.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Any other questions? Is there any members of the public on this matter? Sandy? Sandy, you're muted.
No, I don't think anyone is in attendance for this hearing.
Okay. Then we'll wait for your submissions to finalize this. But meanwhile, we'll be inserting the resolution to be considered for signing on the next hearing. Then, could I have a motion to adjourn this to the next public hearing?
So move.
Thank you, Carolyn. Any second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Donna, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, Garrett?
Yep.
Jesus, do you have any comments?
No comments. Yeah, I agree with the resolution.
Okay. So, Carolyn, I assume you accept? Jim, you accept?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, no objections. Thanks, you applicants. And thank you, Mr. Gamalo, as well. Good night. Next item on the agenda is the Sunrise Solar Solutions at Club Fit Barcliff Manor, 584 North State Street, site plan amendment. Continuing the public hearing.
We're
I see
open.
the applicants here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dawn McKenzie from Inside Engineering. In attendance with me tonight, I believe, is Doug Hertz from Sunrise Solar and the owner of Club Fit, Bill Beck. Just want to give you an update on what we've done since we were here last time. So we met with the Environmental Advisory Council and gave them an introduction to the project and talked to them about that. Since that time, they made a site visit and provided a comment letter. We had also, and we made a submission and responded to comments from the tree warden and the comments received from the Environmental Advisory Committee and also the board's consultants. So just to give you an update, in addition, the applicant, Sunrise Solar, they had met with Con Ed at the site. So we made a change to the site plan. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So originally, based on recommendations, the Con Ed transformer was located within the equipment compound. And based on site visit with Con Ed, they preferred to have the transformer moved outside of the compound. So it is now placed in this location right here. Existing in that spot right now, there's a concrete bike rack pad. And so it's going to be put out front. The transformer will be put out front right by the existing transformer. And because of that, we had to modify the landscaping slightly. There was originally an Ilex opaca in this location, and we had to eliminate that. We couldn't find another spot within this area for it to fit with the wires in this location. And so what we did is we relocated one of the arborvitae to this location. And we added another, I believe that's what we did. We added another of the Amelanchier. So, and we've still maintained the plantings within the equipment area. Another thing that we did was we, based on a comment from the planner, is we've clarified that this area here is actually an existing gravel area, and that provides access to it. So there's actually existing access into the equipment area. We're just going to put a fenced enclosure and put a lock on it. Another comment we had received from the Briarcliff Fire Department was to provide for some sort of, either to provide a key, and I think we may, I don't remember if we discussed this at the last meeting or not, either to provide a key within a Knox box at the site or to provide a Knox lock at the gate. And so we are going to provide a Knox lock at the gate into the equipment area to provide the fire department with access. And so generally, as far as the site plan goes, that's what we did. Another thing was we have updated the table of trees to be removed to correctly identify some of the tree species. And we updated the proposed calculations for tree replacement. So basically what we're providing is 18 inches of replacement plantings between the trees and the shrubs that are provided. In addition, so talking about trees to be replaced on the tree removal list, so there are 17 trees to be removed as part of the project. 2 of the trees are dead and don't require permit to be removed. And then 7 of the trees are on the New York State invasive tree list, and they also don't require a permit to be removed. The remaining trees, there are 7 remaining trees to be removed. And it is our opinion that some of those are in poor health and they're hazardous and should be able to be removed without a permit. And so we had based our tree replacement, our calculation for tree replacement on that number. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to discuss with the board what their consideration is for tree replacement. We'd like to come to a consensus on this. The applicant and the project, they have time constraints and they'd like to move this forward. So if we could have a discussion tonight and come to a final agreement on what would be required for tree replacement tonight with the board, so that we could move forward, that would be appreciated.
And Dawn, just to echo, so thank you for that, Dawn, and thank you, board members. And I think we've also discussed with the applicant whether there were other areas on site where they wish to relocate, should they need to locate some additional trees. And the feeling was that they did not want to add additional plantings in other areas at this time. So The question really is, what is the board going to require here? And we'd love to be able to get to a resolution tonight. So there you go.
Any comments from the staff at this point? Valerie?
Yeah, so I think most of my comments revolve around the tree permits and the requirements for that. So as the applicant mentioned, there seems to be a little bit of discrepancy as to positions on the interpretation of what is exempt or not exempt from the tree permit. And it is my recommendation that the town brings back the tree warden and actually has them identify, look at each of the trees that are proposed to be removed and get his expert opinion as to whether he feels that they fall under the criteria of needing the tree permit or not needing the tree permit. I think that will help the EACs, alleviate EAC's concerns as well as give better direction to the board on that. In addition, I do think that no matter what, the law itself does identify and specifically states that there needs to be tree replacement based upon 50% of the total aggregate diameter of trees proposed for removal. So we would have to, even if I do believe the board did have some thoughts about other tree areas on the site where plantings could take place, but technically by the code, their requirement is to replace the 50% of the diameter of what's being removed. So if they would have to meet the code at this point in time, unless for some reason there's another way around that, or Kathy's able to, Kathy's position. But as far as I see the code, it requires that replacement.
Kathy, do you have any comments?
No, I agree.
Can I ask for clarification? Is that a replacement of dead trees as well?
Well, that's what I think we should have at this point. I think that there's a recommendation. I mean, clearly the two dead trees, that's not really up for, I think that position has been agreed upon by both the tree warden and yourself as the applicant, but I think there are other trees that have been potentially identified by the tree warden as being healthy. And I understand your position is that they're either invasive or they are not healthy trees. And so it is my recommendation that the tree warden go out and weigh and provide his expert opinion as to each one of those trees that are supposed to be removed and whether they fall within that criteria or not.
So with all due respect, and I appreciate the position and I understand it, we are under some very significant time constraints. Tree warden has been out, we've been before the EAC, we've gone through the process. We simply have a different interpretation. This is costing our client time and money, and the potential of loss here of NYSERDA incentive and other things is orders of magnitude more than what we're talking about. So another delay to this project, is potentially economically significantly detrimental. So I would love to see if we can come to an agreement this evening as to what the board feels it needs to be able to approve this project.
And one thing I'd also like to clarify on top of that is the tree code clearly states that the trees on the invasive list can be removed without a permit. So that takes the black locust out of the equation, which the tree warden has agreed that that's what those trees are. So that leaves 7 trees that we are, some of those we're in, we don't necessarily agree over, but if we can come to a consensus, right, as Doug requested, so that we can move forward tonight relative to those 7 trees.
Hey, Kathy, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
I mean, if they can't replace the trees, the diameter on the property, there's the option to pay into the land fund, to the tree fund. So, I mean, we need to have an agreement on the amount of the trees being removed. You know, and I don't know how to resolve that because there is no agreement tonight, it seems like.
In fact, if the applicant just accepted the amount of trees that the tree warden and the EAC suggest, we've already been resolved, correct?
That would be the 7 trees.
So if they agree to pay into the tree fund for the 7 trees, would people, would people find that acceptable or not?
Does the applicant
Is
find
that-
that acceptable?
Yeah,
Well,
I
let's
think.
go around the board first, okay? Well, actually, Dan, do you have any comments at this time? Questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, I mean, the one old comment I have that I think I'm going to bring back, but not to delay the applicant, and that's that we had requested that the height of the retaining wall be reduced or eliminated where possible with the cooperation of the neighbor. Now, I understand, the urgency of getting this thing wrapped up, and I guess what I'm getting at is if once construction began, they could get the cooperation of the neighbor, because I think ultimately it would be a better job to just grade that area off. I think it would also be even a better situation for the survival of the trees we'd be putting in there, because the landscaping on one side would have a retaining wall, and on the other side would be sticking up out of the ground because of the grading there. So what I'm getting at is I think it would, if there were a way for the planning board to leave the door open to that in their resolution, so that if the situation did present itself to modify the height of the wall or the grading, we could do that as a field change rather quickly without having to involve the planning board.
And Dan, nothing would make us happier than reducing the size of that retaining wall. As Bill can attest, both Club Fit and our firm have made repeated attempts to reach out to the self-storage facility. We've had zero.
Trust me, I understand, but sometimes what ends up happening is contractor shows up, starts cutting the trees, the guy comes out, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, let's do it. So I'm not asking you guys, I'm not requiring you or asking the board to make it a condition of the approval. I'm basically saying, make it so that we can simply do it as a field change if the opportunity presents itself. That's all I'm asking for, because I don't want to, if we see an opportunity to save you money and you look at it and go, geez, we'd love to do it, but we got to go back to the planning board, so we better just put the wall in. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So I guess I sort of think I'm trying to help you.
I appreciate that. No, we're totally amenable to that suggestion.
And that would be up to the planning board to provide me with that latitude to do it informally. And then
I personally wouldn't have any objections to that. We'll go around the board members to speak about that later.
To the other point, if I may, on the tree thing, if as a worst case scenario, if they post the money for the full freight on the worst case scenario, that would go to the tree fund, with the understanding that once everything is agreed upon with the health of the trees and what would have to go to the tree fund, or if the applicant sees a place he can add some trees, that either they pay the full tree mitigation fee, or it would be adjusted and returned to them based upon the final outcome. Again, this would just be a thought to facilitate getting this thing wrapped up and advancing their application.
Is that something that the applicant is willing to do?
Well, look, we love being here in Ossining and Yorktown, and our relationship with you guys has been great. We want to do everything we can by the law. We want to make it as easy for you guys as we can and as easy for us. Some of you may be following
We're trying
the
to
news
accommodate you here in terms of your time frame, right? So if this is an option that Dana just came up with, or rather Dana suggesting, if you folks are not amenable to it, then we don't need to discuss it. So what is your position on what Dan just suggested?
Well, like he said, he's looking for an amendment that may never come to fruition, but it's in our best interest if we can. So if we can, that's great. We're interested in moving along. We're you know, time is sort of the essence by nature of the fact that you might know that we're basically closed for the last 3 months. And so we want to get to work while people aren't in the building. We want to comply with town code. We want to do what we can to help you guys out. We're hopeful you can help us as well, because obviously when we're closed for 3 months, we're also not making any money, yet staying committed to a project that is costly and we think good for the town and good for us at the end of the day. So we are, well, I am hopeful that we can come to quick resolution and be fair about you know, applying code at this point.
All right, that didn't quite answer the question, which was we would be applying the code. It's just the question of would you be amenable to putting up the funds at this point, not and in the hopes of us coming to some agreement. But if worst case scenario, those funds would take care of the worst case scenario. That's what I understand Dan's suggestion to be.
It's hard to answer that question when we're talking in the abstract of how much the funds are.
Okay, so I take it that your answer is no at this time. Okay.
Before we move away from that, what's the tally, worst case, Cal, for inches of trees out there?
Dawn?
So worst case scenario, well, that's the question is whether you agree that
worst case,
whether you agree that the locust trees are invasive species and can be removed without a permit. Is that what's in question?
They are on the invasive species list. They are definitely on the list. I can verify that. I think they're invasive in other parts of the state, but it's a statewide list, and they are on the list. And that is the way the language of the law is. So
okay. So then,
that's my opinion. I would defer to Kathy for sure.
Right.
So Dawn, that number then is?
So the seven trees in question adds up to 74 inches. And then 50% of that would be 37 inches of replacement trees.
At $165, which is somewhere over $5,000.
Right, but we have provided trees. We have provided replacement plantings, and then it's a matter of what part of that will qualify as towards that replacement value. And according to the calculations we've provided on the plan, we're providing 18 inches of the 37, which would be a remaining 19 inches at $165 an inch for $3,135 for the tree fund.
So that's the worst case scenario?
That's the worst case scenario, provided, right. That's what's laid out on, right, generally on the plan.
Yeah, I think if we looked at it almost if it were a bond, so you could advance, if that's the worst case amount that goes up, we make that a condition of signing the site plan. And then if after the dust settles on the whole tree mitigation thing, if it's a lesser number, or you decide to put some trees someplace else, then whatever the difference is could be returned to you.
Look, I don't think we should allow trees to be placed somewhere else because that's an issue that's got to be reflected on the plan. So it's either going to be, you're going to pay the 3,000 whatever dollar.
I guess given their situation, they could come back with an amended plan.
Right, if they want to go through that and submit an amended plan, but
we're not suggesting we're not suggesting planting things in another area. I think the discussion is merely what we're required to pay into.
So if there's a determination that the specific tree is dead or would not require to be replaced for whatever reason, then the amount of that amount would come off the money that we're talking about.
But in either case, the worst case scenario is about $3,000. Really? That's the amount we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
As long as, excuse me, as long as the tree expert definitely agreed that those were black locusts, but I think he did. I just don't recall.
Right, well, we can have them
Right.
go out to the site and confirm,
Right.
make sure that, you know, he agrees with.
Okay, so I have his memo,
Okay, yes, I don't have that in front of me. Thank you.
and let's just look at this because I recall that it says black locust, but I'm just going to verify for you.
So while Dawn is verifying that, I
Yes,
will make her,
sorry.
I will,
Right.
so Dawn, yes, they're black locusts?
They are
Very-
identified as black locusts
By the tree expert, by the
from
tree.
Craig Stevens, correct.
So I will make an extraordinary request of this planning board. The applicant, because of COVID, the applicant is endeavoring to do a project which has benefits townwide, huge environmental advantages. And his business has not been able to generate a single dollar for months and months and months because it's been closed. So I will make the extraordinary request that the board, in this case, waive the fee in lieu for tree replacement as a good faith, simply as a way to help the applicant do a project that is, I think, in everyone's best interest.
You know, it's not a requirement that the planning board has the authority to waive. It's a town requirement. So
That would be a request of the village board, or there's no.
I mean, I guess you could make that request to the town board, but the planning board, it's not even a site, it's a separate provision, a separate code provision. It's not even site plan regs. So I don't believe the planning board has the authority to grant that request.
Okay, well, let's move forward then with the assumption that we will post the amount for the maximum, under this current version, and then we'll get further analysis from the tree warden and the EAC satisfactory to this board, and we'll live with that determination.
Well, before we get to that point, Donna, do you have any other questions or comments at this time?
I had a few. One is actually for Valerie and Kathy. I know that they're entertaining legislation about solar storage unit. Does that have any pertinence to this?
At this point in time, we're only beginning that process with the town board. So
Right.
at this point, there are no provisions on.
Okay. I just was curious about that.
But just in terms of for the board to understand that John Hamilton will be looking at this, and as well as Dan, to make sure that they meet all fire codes and building code regulations associated with the energy packs on the site plan.
So my other concern, which of course, in the ideal world, which what Dan has been hoping for, and I guess everyone's hoping for, but it doesn't look like it might happen, is that the trees are going to be planted in this berm area, which is less than ideal, particularly for this type of trees that require that really like to be next to a stream. They don't like to be up on a hill. These particular species. So I'm wondering, and this is, I'm not objecting. I'm just asking. You're going to have all these units by these trees. How do you propose to water the trees without having any impact on your equipment? Is that an issue or for the applicant?
So the trees are actually on the opposite side they're 6 feet
of a wall.
They're
okay.
Right. They're planted above the wall, and the face of the wall is 6 feet away from the equipment.
Okay.
There's gravel cover between them because they need that much access.
Right.
So they're not right up against it. Does
Okay.
that,
Yeah, so you're probably going to put like a dripper hose or something there, something to water them with, other than, I just curious how you were going to water in that small little area. So, but you've thought about it, so that seems okay. So my concern is that the replacement of these trees, which these are excellent trees that you've proposed, the witch hazel and the serviceberry, they're really lovely. They just will never compensate for the loss of tree canopy in that area. So I do hope that there is, I hope there is some, you make up something for the loss of those trees there. So certainly paying into the tree fund would be good. For me, I live on the other side of North State Road, and I am unfortunately burdened with the sound of the gun club that is on the other side of Route 100 from Club Fit. So when those trees come down and that loss of canopy, that is going to definitely have an impact on me. So I had mentioned this in the previous meetings, but the owner of Club Fit was not on in those meetings. So I would just like to ask again if there was a way that the treed area, the natural area on the, I guess the southern portion of the property could be maintained so those trees are not lost. Right now they're getting covered with vines, and the more trees we lose, the louder and louder it gets. And there's, tree canopy has a lot of benefits other than noise absorption, but that would be really great if that could happen. So I would certainly like to see something put into the tree fund to be determined, and that area kept clean, and the invasives removed, and because Club Fit, the rest of Club Fit looks so great, like the plantings and the building. I mean, you do a really nice job, and so it'd be really nice if those trees weren't lost like these trees are being lost. So that's my comments.
Well, thank you. Dawn and Doug had mentioned that to me, and we will take a look at it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Okay, Carolyn, do you have any questions or comments at this time? Carolyn?
Only that I think if they're willing to pay into the tree fund and make the other, and follow what Dan said before, that I'd be willing to go along with approving this. So.
Okay, Gareth, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
I agree with everything that Donna said and asked for. If the applicant can pay into the tree fund, and if there ever can be made a mechanism where money in the tree fund could be put toward maintaining wooded properties in a way that Donna was talking about, like vine removal and so forth, I would be all for letting the applicant use that allocation of money to do what Donna suggested in their southern or their eastern lot, whichever it is. But overall, I'd like to say that this is a terrific project. I think it's good for us as a town. It's good for the environment, and I think it's really admirable that the applicant is continuing with this project despite the really horrific financial burdens that they and other businesses are going through. I'm glad that they didn't pull out of this project. So anyway, I would say let's go forward as quickly as we can and get them approvals as quickly as we can.
Thanks, Gareth. Jim, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
I mean, given the area that we're dealing with on the property, I think what's being presented is as good as we can ever hope. So I would like to see us figure out the wording so that we can move forward on this.
Yeah, so I would think that we would probably be able to come up with the wording that would allow us all to move forward. Jesus, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, I just would like to second what Garrett said. I agree that, it's a great project for the town. I mean, I used to live North State Road for many years, and I was a member of Club Fit for many years. So, if we can move it, the sooner we can move the project with some conditions, I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Are there any members of the public interested in this matter? Sandy?
I don't see anybody here for this project.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like if the applicant was amenable to putting up that fund, we could probably resolve this tonight, plus the other issue that Dan mentioned. Applicant, do you disagree, or do you have any more comments or questions?
No.
I think, Mr. Chairman, though, we'd have to prepare a resolution.
Yeah.
You could consider closing the public hearing tonight and directing the preparation of a resolution, but it would have to be put over until the 15th. So, but you can close the public hearing tonight if you so desire.
I don't see any need to close a public hearing at this time if we don't have a ready resolution we could vote on. Although, however, I would think that we would want to draft the resolution so that we could close it as soon as possible.
Yes,
Right, so we can have a draft resolution available and ready to adopt at the next meeting.
Very good. Could I have a okay. All right. So, could I have a motion to that extent on the board?
Also move.
Any second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Thanks, Carolyn. Jim, how do you vote?
To move forward.
Thanks. Jesus, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay. Donna, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and I agree as well, so that would be unanimous. Valerie and Kathy, so you'll take a look at how drafting the resolution for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll assume that we're going to close it, if at all possible, next meeting, the 15th?
And could I just thank you very much? I appreciate that. Because you're not going to vote on a resolution tonight, and we do have another 2 weeks till next meeting, would that be enough time to request the EAC or the tree warden to try to resolve that? So perhaps we don't even have to put in language. Perhaps we'll have a definitive answer by that time.
I would suggest it would be the tree expert.
Right.
The tree expert.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could certainly use the next 2 weeks to resolve that issue so that potentially you don't have to put any money. But, we'll draft it with the language that we discussed, just in case there's enough time. This way we're not stuck waiting. And
Okay, and we will work with Sandy then to reach out to the tree expert and see if we can get agreement amongst the parties to on exactly what the extent of that is. And we'll get that. We'll coordinate with Sandy.
Great. I think we'll look forward to closing this matter then, next meeting. Hopefully.
Do we have enough time? I'm sorry. Do we have enough time to get the draft resolution over to the applicant so that they can review it? And if there's anything to discuss, that we can have the resolution complete by the time we get to the next meeting so that we can be one and done?
I mean, the answer is yes, that's not a problem at all.
Great.
I think the reason the two other resolutions were not able to be adopted tonight was because there were actually site plan changes.
Oh,
that are being
completely
anticipated.
understood.
But we will, assuming that there's no site plan changes at the next meeting, the resolution will be ready for adoption.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right.
May I just add something? May I just add something before they go?
Go ahead, Donna.
I just wanted to thank Dawn for coming to the EAC meeting. I'm the liaison, and I just thought that was just so nice of her to give her time like that, and she gave a great presentation, and so I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. It's always helpful to us to be able to speak directly, you know.
Yeah, it was great.
With everyone, so
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you,
Great.
everyone, for
right.
working hard to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, applicants. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. Appreciate the
Hey.
hard work.
We have an item from the MGM subdivision 5 Hawks Avenue requesting an extension of the resolution of subdivision approval. Do we need to do anything on this, Valerie?
No. I mean, besides, approving the extension.
Hey, Kathy, do we need to do anything? Okay, well, let's have a motion to that effect.
Sorry, I had to grab a charger. My computer was dying.
No problem. Is there anything else we have to do besides making a motion to extend the time?
No.
This is for the
on the
extension.
The extension, no.
Yes.
We could grant the extension.
What's this time frame for the extension?
You could do it, we usually do it in 90 days.
Is 90 days enough for them? Are we going to be doing this again in 90 days?
Ed?
Good evening. It's Ed Jamola, one of the partners, MGM. Right now, we've been waiting we didn't start because of the winter, and then with all the pandemic, James Garofalo from Tim Miller had to do the state speed limit. They were checking that and getting approval for the transportation department, and we are expecting that by the end of July. We also had to get a survey, which we have ordered from Joe Link, for the plat plan to complete the survey for a plat plan through Westchester County. So that we've deposited money for both those items. They're in the works, and we were told the end of July on both things we should be ready to submit that.
So Ed, would a 90-day extension work?
Yes, I believe so. We're talking about this is where are we at? I'm losing track of time here.
July
31st is July 1st. So the end of July, we should be able to, that's 30 days. So 90 should be more than enough. I will stay in touch with the planning department, and as soon as we get those documents, we'll submit those.
Great. Can I have a motion to extend it by 90 days?
I'll make that motion.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you, Carolyn. Donna, how do you vote?
So I wasn't part of the original discussion, but can I still vote? I mean, yes, if I can still vote.
We're just giving an extension, so I think you're okay. Gareth?
Yes.
Okay, Jesus, you have any questions or comments at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Jim, I assume you're okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Carolyn, you're okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so you have the 90 days.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, next item would be the Village of Ossining Indian Brook Water Treatment Plant at 25 Reservoir Road. Request for an extension of approved resolution of site plan approval. Okay, is the applicant here? Hello. Hi, I understand that you wish for the planning board to make certain representations to the DEC.
Sorry, I
Mr.
was trying to
Chairman.
unmute. Okay,
Oh.
go on.
I was
Go
gonna
on,
say,
Valerie. I
I think
wasn't sure
there's
who'd
two,
speak.
right, there's two items that we need you to look at tonight. First is the extension of the site plan, and then the second is the DEC letter.
Okay.
So however you'd like to proceed, but they're two separate items.
So let's deal with the site plan since the rest of the board has to deal with that anyway. So let's get that over with. What do we have from on the site plan? Applicant?
So I can summarize. We have been working through a grant application, additional information. So the village has been awarded a grant for the green roof at the new Indian Brook water treatment plant. And as part of that process, we've been packaging up some information, and for a series of comments, there were 3 comments that the New York State DEC made to the environmental assessment. We are just trying to close the loop on that, and we responded to the 3 comments. And there's a couple of different ways we could submit this letter. Right now, Chairperson Chin, this has been written, and the original letter was addressed to you, so the letter back to DC is currently addressed to you. We could change that. We could send it to them directly from Hazen and Sawyer and just copy you on it. But basically, that's the item that we wanted to talk about. It's more of a formality in the sense that the 3 responses don't really change anything that's been done to date.
And I went through the letter that was proposed, and I added I made a few changes to the letter, which I sent over to the applicant just to make sure that there were no inaccuracies. But one of them is changing everything in the letter that specifically says village to town, just so that it reflects the correct entity. And I also suggested that removing a sentence dealing with the 600 feet of the bald eagles, just basically reiterating that the town does not believe that the time of year restrictions actually applies to the project because the bald eagle's nest would be outside of the 660 feet. And then we'll leave it up to the DEC to determine if for some reason that is incorrect. And then other than that, I believe everything else, the applicant has provided all the attachments and the figures, and they all concur. And then there was just one other item with one of the attachments identifying that they have a permit from Westchester County Department of Health, but the version that version of the permit that you provided was expired in 2017. So if there's an updated one, I would suggest having that as part of the letter that goes back to the DEC.
Yes, I noticed that the other day when I sent the attachments, and I know that the village needs to get one every year, so I'll get the latest one from Andy Tees.
Right, because I just know the DEC will turn around and say,
yeah, no, I know.
That might cause more problems than anything.
So for the one sentence we're removing, we would just recommend that the town then, we feel like there needs to just be some follow-up on that, because they have not clearly stated that the back and forth on the bald eagle nest has not been clearly stated. They just said that it was within 0.4 miles of the site, but they won't tell us where it is, which is typical. They wouldn't tell you where it is, but we didn't necessarily think the response was clear. And so I agree with taking the sentence out, Valerie, that you had deleted, because I kind of felt like it was unnecessary text, but it was trying to kind of get them to clarify what their statement on exactly whether the eagle location is. I feel like they didn't respond clearly enough.
So that's, we can work that out just for the board's route. The sentence was, if the DEC has specific site location information of a bald eagle nest located within 660 feet of the proposed project, or one is identified prior to or during construction, the village would consider the need for seasonal work restrictions and implementation of other conservation measures. I think my biggest concern is the village would consider. The bottom line is, if we actually fell within their requirements, we would either have to consider or have to pull an incidental takings permit. So that's why I removed that sentence, because instead of letting the DEC say we would consider, I think the bottom line is we either fall within their regs or don't fall within the regulation. So, but we can play around with that sentence if the chair is okay with, and just maybe reworking it so that asking the DEC to provide additional information if it does happen to fall within the 660 feet.
We did actually take the same view as you on this. So maybe we could talk tomorrow. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And then if the chair is okay with that, then we can send you over the letter to sign.
Okay, just wanted to go through the letter in terms of specific items so that the rest of the board also hears this as well.
Yep.
I'm just going to follow the letter. I assume you folks have the draft with the changes on it from Valerie?
I do not believe that they do not have that. I can share my screen though to show that at this point.
Okay.
Because the letter went out internally this afternoon. Share. And before I sent it to the whole board, I wanted to make sure there was no inaccuracies in the letter. So on the first page, go ahead, Mr.
Okay, so on the first response, dealing with the amount of the millions gallons per day, my understanding is that the applicant is making it a representation that it's going to be safe yield is currently at 1.2 million gallons per day. The maximum plant capacity is at 7 million gallons per day, and the flow currently operates at at greater than 4 million gallons per day. Is that correct?
The flow, you're saying the plant currently typically operates at greater than 4 million gallons per day? Yes. So the village currently operates existing plant greater than 4 million gallons a day, correct? So they're not taking, they're taking most of their water from Croton Lake, basically. So the 1.2 safe yield is maintained.
Okay. Going to the second response, dealing with the bald eagle, you're making representation to the board that there appears to be sufficient visual buffers provided by the existing vegetation. Is that correct?
Right, based on the the assumed location of the nest, which we haven't been given an exact location, but believe it, with some of the correspondents believe it to be around the Hudson River, that the site is located far enough away between trees and homes from where the site is in the Hudson River that there shouldn't be an issue. This is what we were just talking about, though. They have not given us a actual location. They just indicated that
at this point, you are not aware. You and your folks are not aware of any bald eagle nest site that's located within 660 feet of the proposed project. Correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. So going on to the third response. This is dealing with using the blanket permit from the Corps of Engineers.
That's right.
Okay, and so basically, your view is that the blanket certification is going to be effective for this project, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right. Does the rest of the board have any questions or comments at this time?
No.
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 Nope.
Nope.
Great. Okay. So we'll finish up drafting this letter after consultation with you on it, and we'll send this out as soon as we can.
Great.
Any other questions? Valerie, Kathy, anything else we need to do on this?
Just the extension on the resolution. Is that something we need to discuss right now, or?
Yes.
How much time do you need?
Well, so everything we have everything completed with the exception of the Westchester County Department of Health approval, which we don't have control over, but we feel like we're probably close to having it completed. They've had it in their hands since December of 2018. We've had two kind of back and forth with them, and I've reached out to the lead over there to set up a third meeting with them over the next couple of weeks. So I'm hoping that that's it. So I would think like a 3-month extension should be okay. Ruby, do you have an opinion about the extension we should be looking for?
So can I have a motion for granting a 90-day extension?
As long as they don't feel like they need more than that.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little worried. It's been taking so long. It's really dragged out. Is there possible to get till the end of the year? We know that the village is looking to go out to bid early in 2021. That would mean there shouldn't be an issue for us to have to come back and get another one.
Kathy, what's the limit on our extension time?
This was a site plan, right? Site plan approval?
Yes.
It was.
Why don't we just term it, just so we stay with the 90 days, as 2 90-day extensions? Does that work?
I think so, yes. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion for 2 90-day extensions?
So move.
Second.
Any seconds? Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Carolyn. Donna, how do you vote?
I approve.
Okay, Jim, how do you approve?
Yes.
Jesus, you have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, Carolyn,
Agree. Approve.
Gareth? That's a nod? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so it's unanimous. You have your 90-day, you have 2 90-day extensions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item, have a good night. The next
Thank
item
you.
on the agenda is the June 17th minutes. Have folks had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to consider them?
So move.
Any second?
Second.
Great. Any amendments we want to make to the minutes? Jim, any amendments you want to make to the minutes?
Nope.
Hey, Carolyn, any amendments you want to make to the minutes? Gareth?
No.
Donna?
No.
Hey, Jesus, you have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay. So let's, well, I approve as well, so we'll approve the minutes for June 17th, 2020. Kathy, do you have feel any need for going into an executive session? It's up to you.
I mean, I could just shoot an email to the board tomorrow to avoid.
Very good. Okay. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn then?
So move.
Second.
Great. Jim, do you approve?
Of course.
Gareth?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Okay. Just to make it clear, Sandy, there were no other public members of the public here after during the discussion for the water treatment plant, correct? I thought everybody had left.
No, that's not a public hearing, the water treatment plant.
Right, but there was no public. I was just in terms of the time frame. There was just nobody else here. I just wanted to make sure that was the case.
That's it.
I only see one phone call, and I think that's mine. So I think nobody else is here.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank everyone. Have a great night. Enjoy the 4th.
Yes.
For those who have this 3-day weekend.